This episode is brought to you by Christian Bowhunters of America, Academy Sports and Outdoors, Striking Viking Beard Oils, and Pure Hemp Botanicals. Check them out in the description.
Welcome to Joshua 2415 Outdoors, proudly in partnership with Christian Bowhunters of America.
It was a good idea.
Anyways, let's get started. All right. We are back for episode 19, I believe. Back in full force, bringing the content to you.
Yes, sir.
Woo!
Yes, sir.
Don't sound too enthusiastic.
Get her done.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, my hip hurts, okay?
All right, so this is gonna be a treat. I feel like Comer's gonna share stories about his son's first deer, which always memorable moments, precious moments, and I can't wait to hear about it.
They are more precious to me than any deer I've ever taken. You know, just to be there to see it happen. Yeah.
Right. Well, we don't have any shenanigans to jump into first, so it's all you.
Okie doke.
The floor is yours.
If I get on the floor, I'm not going to be able to get up. So let's just can I stay in the chair?
And the microphone.
All right.
Are all yours.
Well, you know, my boys were raised in the woods. I mean, from little babies, they were in the woods. My oldest boy, he was born September 17th, and he went in a backpack on October 1st with my wife with me for him to go on opening day of deer season, and I just
tucked him in a backpack.
He was swaddled and stuck in a backpack with his head sticking out, and I can still remember. Now she was adamant that she was going if I was taking that little bitty baby to the woods, you know. But he went, and both of my boys were raised up in the woods from just little things on, and one of the best things that I found for holding their attention at that time was a Game Boy.
Oh yeah.
And so they would carry a Game Boy with them, and while I was hunting, and they wanted to go, and they would play with the Game Boy, and as soon as I would see a deer come, you know, something to hold their attention, then, or any other kind of animal, they would play that Game Boy with the sound turned all the way down. And I mean, they would sit there 5 or 6 hours with me. And it got to the point that, you know, they got old enough, they wanted to try to kill a deer. And I think my oldest son was 8 when he killed his first one, I think. And we went out that afternoon. You know, I wasn't trying to make the kids hunt all day like I did during gun season. You know, for Illinois, you've got limited amount of time. You've got a 3-day first season, and you got a 4-day second season. And so, especially first season, I would hunt from daylight till dark and not come out of the woods at all. But of course, I didn't want to do that to the boys, because you could just run somebody on something like that. That's tough. That's a tough sit. And so I took him that afternoon, and we ended up on a really nice little oak ridge, and it was overlooking a logging road that come up out of a thicket. And, you know, we didn't care. He didn't care what he was going to shoot at, and I didn't care what he was going to shoot at, whether it was a doe or a monster buck. It didn't matter. We was looking for a kid's first deer. And, you know, now so many people want their kid's first deer and their first deer to be some trophy buck, and you know, never look back and never shoot anything smaller. And I think that is a bad way to go about it, and I think it leads to disappointments. And so we ended up there that afternoon, and when the boys were little, we always hunted off the ground, and I always hunted off the ground during shotgun season anyway, simply because I was going to stay all day. So we kicked out a spot there on the ground and kicked the leaves off the ground and got settled in there, and we got our snacks out and got his Game Boy out, and we sat there for several hours, and I saw a deer coming down the logging road, or coming out of the thicket onto the logging road. And I got his attention, and he saw it, and he just simply laid his Game Boy down, and he had the shotgun laying on his lap already, and he eased it up onto one knee, and that doe, she worked into, I think she was 35 yards. You know, that's been a long, long time ago, and seems like she was 35 yards when we stepped it off. And he eased up that 12 gauge, same 12 gauge that I killed my deer with on the last podcast. It was my grandfather's Winchester.
Massac mutant.
Yeah. It was my grandfather's Winchester 1400 12 gauge with a slug barrel on it. And shooting those 1 ounce Foster type Winchester slugs. And just a massive hunk of lead. You know, that's as big as the end of your thumb. And he pulled the trigger on that thing, and that doe dropped like the sky fell on it. And when she hit the ground, I mean, he jumped up immediately, and he handed me the gun. As soon as he got to his feet, he handed me the gun, and he took off toward the deer. I hollered at him. I got him to hold up, and we walked down there together, and she was stone cold dead. You know, she didn't have to worry about anything. And we stood there over her, and I realized at that moment really what I had just got to experience. We were sitting side by side on the ground, just shoulder to shoulder, snuggled up against each other, whispering, talking, having a good time. I was watching him play his video games, and we were deer hunting together. And I got to watch him kill his first deer at 7 or 8 years old. I'm not sure which it was. But the look on his face of just satisfaction and joy of accomplishing something that he had wanted to accomplish. You know, yes, I wanted him to hunt. I wanted his brother to hunt, but I never pushed them. I never forced them. They saw the lifestyle that we lived, and they decided that that's what they chose to do as well. And he had just accomplished it. And I gave him that shotgun that day over the top of that doe laying there. And I explained to him, I said, you know where this gun come from, but I want to tell you again as we stand here over this doe, you know, my grandfather hunted with this gun for many, many years. And when he died, he left this gun to me. And every deer that I have killed with a firearm had been with that firearm up to that point. Other than muzzleloaders, I did muzzleload hunt, but with a shotgun with slugs, they had all been with that firearm, and I gave it to him that day, and he killed a lot of deer with that gun. And then I watched my grandson. I had my grandson with me when he killed his first deer with that firearm, and his dad told me when he killed a deer to give him the gun. And I got to give him the gun. And so that gun is just, man, it is passed down. It went from my grandpa, it went to me, it went to my son, and now to my grandson. And, you know, what is that? That's a great, great grandson to the original owner that has now killed his deer with it. And I have no doubt that someday, if my grandson's son or daughter someday wants to hunt, that they will kill a deer with that gun.
It's going to be with that one.
It'll just continue going down the road.
Now, before you continue, I would like to take just a second and explain to anyone out there who does not know what a Game Boy is. It is a handheld video game. just for clarification, if you're not familiar with the Game Boy, because it came out back in the 90s. And, well, actually, it may have been a little earlier than that. But I had one as a kid, but I'm a 90s kid. So just wanted to clarify that for anyone who does not know what a Game Boy is.
Did it take cartridges?
Yes. Yep.
Because the only thing I remember was them playing Mario.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about it other than that. Other than if you didn't have the sound turned down, it was ding, 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 ding.
It was loud.
It was all kind of noises on that thing, but it kept them busy.
Yeah.
And we didn't have cell phones and all of that kind of stuff back then.
And you have to keep a kid's attention, or else the whole hunt's probably busted.
Oh, absolutely. And if they're not having fun, they're not going to want to go back. And if you make a small child sit there and stare at the woods, sometimes it gets boring for me. But if you've got something to keep them occupied until there is action, until there's a deer somewhere around close enough to see, or any other kind of animal, but just something to do, then you can really keep them out there for several hours and keep them ready for when the opportunity happens.
Yeah. Sorry.
No,
back to
good.
the story. I just want to make sure we clarify.
No, you're good. I've got my youngest son. He was 6 when he killed his first one, and he was using a single shot 20 gauge H&R shotgun, and it just was a gun that happened to shoot slugs good. It just had a modified barrel on it with a bead on it, and a lot of old bird guns just happened to shoot slugs good, and that one was point of aim. Wherever you put that bead, if you had that gun shouldered and was looking down the barrel, wherever you put that bead out to about 55, 60 yards, that thing put a slug in. And he was proficient with it. And we had hunted really hard for a couple of days and really had tried to get him on a deer and was just really not having any luck whatsoever. And it's really stressful for me when I'm trying to get a child on a deer and it's just not happening.
Yeah.
It's just not happening. And you see their interest starting to dwindle, and it's like playing Jenga to me. You're wondering when this is all going to shatter and fall apart. But
that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah. that last morning, and I don't remember if it was the first season or a second season. But that last morning, we were hunting in Pulaski County. I think it was Pulaski County. Gosh, that was so many years ago. Yeah, it was, because we had to check it in Pulaski County. But it was so foggy that morning you could barely see, and we saw movement right after daylight. And it was a button buck that literally, when we saw it through the fog, it was maybe 25 yards walking straight toward us.
Oh, geez.
And he was sitting, we were on the ground once again. We were sitting against a pretty good size oak tree, and he was sitting. Back then, you would never believe it now. Mark, you see me, you see the shape I'm in and the size I am. But I was sitting like an Indian with my legs crossed, and he was sitting on my lap, and then had the shotgun up on his knee. And that deer was maybe 10 yards walking straight toward us.
Wow.
When he squeezed the trigger, and once again, it just collapsed straight into the dirt.
Did he shoot it facing you?
Yeah.
Or was it quartered a little bit?
No, it was
straight on.
You know, if you look at the front of a deer, right at the base of its neck, between the base of its neck and its chest, you've got a little swirly spot where the hair swirls around right there. And I whispered in his ear. I said, "Put it right through that," and he did. He just punched it, and that deer never took a step. It just melted into the ground, and once again we celebrated. You know, I think that year Pam was probably sitting with Benjamin in a different location, and we had walkie-talkies back then because once again there were no cell phones. Or if there had been cell phones back then, we sure couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
I don't know that there wasn't a cell phone, but we got a hold of them on the walkie-talkies, and they came to where we were to celebrate and to take pictures and to get that deer out. And I tell you, it gave them both such a passion for deer hunting and the outdoors. And they have both killed a lot of deer, and they both killed some absolute hammers. Now, my youngest boy, he's killed more big deer, but he really got into it more for a longer time than my oldest son did. I got to watch him kill a 15-pointer that scored 167 or 168, and it had a bunch of stuff broke off of it. That deer would have been well over 180, and it was a massive bodied deer. But I got to witness that and watch him kill that deer. And
was it close to the Massac mutant in terms of body size?
It was No, it was big, but it wasn't like that. I think it dressed probably 215, 220. I didn't put it on the scale, but it was big.
Pretty good deer, yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good deer. You know, we've killed a lot of deer over 200 pounds around that area.
I'm still blown away by the thought of a 300-pound whitetail.
Yeah.
Roughly. I'd say if not dressed, you'd say that deer was probably, going back to the Massac mutant, was probably every bit of 300 pounds.
Oh, that deer was well over 300 pounds.
Gosh.
Well over 300 pounds, or, field weight with the guts still in it.
That's pushing mule deer territory.
That deer was probably 3 1/4, 3 1/2 with the guts in it.
That's just a big deer.
Guts weigh a lot, man. They really weigh a lot, especially once you get into a large animal. But
I wanted to clarify that also, because I don't think we really dove too far into that in the last episode. Not to take away from this one, but I was curious what you thought that one weighed prior to dressing.
I believe that deer weighed 3 1/2. I really think that deer weighed 3 1/2.
That is a massive whitetail. Now, you wouldn't say the rack on that was monster size by any means? Just the body on that thing was just.
Well, I mean, he scored 163.
I mean,
that's still a big deer. Now, compared to people's standards now, they're just stupid, because everybody thinks a deer's got to be a 200-inch deer now to kill, and that's not realistic. A deer that's
unless you're on a high fence.
Unless you're on a high fence, or unless you're someplace, and you've got enough ground to control the area of a deer's natural range. And everybody can do what they want. But I would rather kill a 125 or 130-inch 8-pointer any day than kill a 300-inch deer at a high-fenced area.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
The more, I think, Going out in the wild, not in a high fence or anything like that. Not that, if that's what you want to do, go do it. Fine. But I think there's more authenticity, more, I don't know what the word is I'm searching for here. It makes a better story, especially when you go out there in the wild and you go chase this deer that at any point in time, exactly.
It's a hunt.
That
other's not a hunt.
No, it's not.
Now, if that's what you want to do,
fine.
Great. But it's not a hunt.
It's not a hunt. No. When you get into real hunting and you get out there and you get the story behind it all and you're waking up early, you're putting in the time, you've got an adventure out of it. You don't know if that deer's going to make it to your next sit or to your sit that morning. You don't know if it's going to get hit by a car, if it's someone else is going to shoot it, if it's fallen ill. And just
Bigfoot might get it.
Bigfoot could get it. You never know. You don't know what's going to happen. And the fact that you're the one that finally gets to take that.
Yeah.
What a story. I love the stories.
Yeah, and I don't, I've said it before, a deer does not have to be large for me to decide that I'm going to take it. It is about the story. It is about, if something special happens that I want to remember that moment, that sucker's probably dead. I'm going to take him.
Absolutely.
And, now, as I've got older, I do want to hold on to my tags for a little bit bigger deer, but it does not have to be. I don't have to kill another 160-inch deer before I'm going to turn an arrow loose. I'm just not going to do that. And I heard Dan Fitzgerald. I love Dan Fitzgerald's hunting videos, but I heard him talking yesterday, and he said that he was watching a show and the dad, of course, put his son first hunt, first deer, shot 200 and something inch deer, and the dad asked the boy, he said, well, what's next? And he said, well, it's got to be bigger. Yeah, that's just, what are we teaching them? What are we teaching them?
Yeah.
Are we teaching them about the sport of hunting? Are we teaching them about the camaraderie of hunting camp? Are we teaching them about the putting groceries in the refrigerator and feeding your family? Or were we just teaching them that it's got to be this huge animal and it's got to be the biggest set of horns possible and it has to be bigger next year?
It's crazy because if that's the case, then you're constantly going to be disappointed.
You will. You are setting a child up and an adult. You're setting them up for failure.
Yeah, because you're not, again, unless you're in a high fenced or someone that has the ability to manage their farm very well.
Yeah,
you're not going to see that. You're not going to have that opportunity, but maybe once in a lifetime.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been...
Depending on the area you're in, of course.
I've been deer hunting for 40... What's this going to be? 41?
And you don't have a 200-inch deer.
42. I have seen one deer ever that I think would have went 190.
And that's crazy when you think about it, because... you have your picture album. I just seen all the pictures. I've seen all the deer on your wall. I've seen all the antlers that you have just all over the place. There's no doubt that in your time hunting that you have killed many a deer. And that just further, it's not that, and you've gone to many different areas. So it's not, that's kind of a testament to that, what we just said, it's a once in a lifetime thing for some people. You don't come across 200-inch deer every time you go out in the woods. You don't come across 200-inch deer every season. Every other season.
Yeah. Every
5 seasons. It's like you said already, it's not realistic.
But it's still, a person's got to do what a person's got to do. I'm only responsible for what I'm interested in hunting. And, we can divide everybody by complaining about who does what, but I'm going to go hunt for what I want, and you go do what you think is right, as long as it's ethical and it's legal. Go do it. And it doesn't take Illinois deer tags away from other hunters for you to go hunt a high fence.
No,
it's just a high fence deer, so you can just go pay to kill them.
If you're not in it for the story, developing your own story, going out there actually hunting in the wild, and you want a high fence deer, by all means. If you just want a big deer, they are available.
Yeah.
But when a person goes and takes the time to hunt them, you just don't come across it very often. I tell you, I'm excited for this upcoming season. I think my story is developing on my first buck. That one that I had to pass this year, I want to go back and get him. Now, is he a monster? No, he looked fairly big-bodied, but in terms of antler size, I'd say he's anywhere from 6 to 8. I couldn't really tell. But he's just a beautiful looking deer, and I'm looking forward to.
And there's no telling what he might jump into.
You don't know. You don't know.
If he was a 3.5-year-old deer last year, or a 2.5-year-old deer, and he makes that jump from, especially if he's 3.5 jumping into 4.5, it could be his year to really turn on. And I know that there's good deer on that property because I saw the sign that's on that property. And, we discussed last time about how before I had any trail cameras, I was just hunting sign. And I still hunt sign a lot on a lot of different properties. And the sign that I saw on that property when I went with you, there is a monster deer
somewhere in
on
there.
That property.
Yeah.
Those size rubs did not come from some little immature buck. Those size rubs came from something that was wanting to let everyone know this is my signpost rubs and I'm here.
Yeah.
And I hope you find him.
There was a lot of active scrapes in that area too.
There was, and some pretty good size scrapes, yeah.
This year, when I get in there in the summertime, I want to start a mock scrape, and I'm gonna keep a camera on that, and I want to see if I can get him or the big one to come there.
Well, as soon as the field is planted, that I've run that mock scrape that I've showed you.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I know it's planted, I will be going back and I will be putting cameras on it, and I'm gonna put cell camera on it so that it just comes to me the whole time, and be able to watch them as they grow. Because it's probably pretty soon I'll be having hip replacement surgery, and I will not be able to get out and put cameras out and see what's going on. So I want to get these things in place of different areas that I want to, that I know that I'm going to hunt in the fall, and get cameras there and get them ready so that as I heal, I can be getting pictures to my phone of what's
ASAP
out there waiting on me.
Yep. I can't wait. I'm excited for this upcoming season. I am so thrilled. I can't wait to get out here in the summertime and start scouting. Look for more sign.
Yeah, I generally start hanging stands in June, and I mean, we're just right around the corner. It's right here on top of us. Most years, I've got everything hung by the end of June or the first week or so of July. I've got everything hung and trimmed and ready to go.
It is coming pretty fast. This year is just kind of flying by. I can't believe we're already at the end of May. We're coming into June. It's fixing to heat up here soon. And gosh, I can't wait for deer season. Now, don't get me wrong. Right now, I am hooked on bass. I can't come off the bass. I missed turkey season because I was so caught up in bass fishing.
Well,
I love bass fishing.
Yeah, it's a great sport. It's a great sport, and it's something great to do. I mean, with every cast, you have no idea what is down there getting ready to just explode on that bait.
And I caught another 3-pounder the other day.
It was a beautiful fish. I saw the video
Kentucky
of that.
Lake. I'm trying. The quest for the monster continues.
You'll get it. You'll get it at some point.
I think I'm going to go to that Clark's River in the morning to that and just keep trying. It's in there. I know there's one in there. And eventually I'm going to pull him out.
Well, he is there. He is there.
Figuring out where he's at and putting something in front of him that he's intrigued by enough to move.
Dynamite. That's it. It's dynamite.
Just shock it and start picking him out.
But you will eventually get a big bass to blow up in there, and not blow up with dynamite, but blow up on a buzzbait or something. And I need to bring you one of my full-size man's one minus crankbaits.
I love those. I love those shallow cranks. Shallow cranks are good.
Bring you one.
Shallow cranks and buzzbaits. I tell you, I think I've caught the most so far on buzzbaits, on a singular buzzbait. Sorry, not plural. I've only been using one color, and I've been getting him to work it. So, yeah.
Well, I think I am going to. I'll try to remember tomorrow because I start vacation when we get off tomorrow morning.
Yeah, look at you, vacation.
I will try to bring you a man's one minus to be able to really work that timber and stuff around that. Because I tell you, all of my biggest bass have came off of a man's one minus crankbait.
I believe it. They're good baits.
They're
very good lures.
The full size one, it's 5/8 of an ounce. It is a huge crankbait, but
big bass eat big baits.
Yes, it is. It calls to them monsters. It's just crazy. But
all right, I think we will.
Yeah, gonna about do it for today.
We will end it there. And so, with that said, we thank you again for tuning in and listening to our back and forth and these stories. I love these stories. I think we're gonna have to do some more.
We got lots.
I'm sure you got plenty. So I don't have very many. I'm still working on making stories.
I've got everything from coyotes to trapping to I got some crazy coyote stories.
Speaking of which, we'll probably can get some coyote hunting in too.
Probably.
Anyways, all right. We'll catch you all in the next episode. We hope you have a great day, a great rest of your week, and as usual, God bless you.
God bless.